Hi everyone, so I'm going to be doing this bonus question. It's not required to do, but it's something that'll be leading up to what we'll be talking about after the midterm. And this is about classes, and it does somewhat relate to functions, but not really. But there's still these methods which are also known as functions inside classes. And classes are just a way of organizing code based on however you want to group the code. So classes are a great way of organizing code, but the thing is that the way classes work is it's not the best with JavaScript. It's better with like more object-oriented programming languages like Java. I might show example in class, but I could still do it somewhat in JavaScript, and I want to show you guys how this is set up so you get a general idea of the template of a class. So let's start off with this problem. It says create a class and have it called person. So let's first set this up. So when we set up a class, what we want to do is we want to say class person, and these are using the squiggly brackets right here because we're going to be adding some information into this class. Before we get started though, I want to show you proper documentation of how you document a class. So what you do is / 2 stars, again like this, and what we're going to have is at the top we'll have the file name, which is, pretend this is called person.js, and then we'll have whatever course this is, MDIA 1620, then Mondays, fall 2022, and then we will have an @author, which is myself, and then we'll have @version. So if we have multiple versions we update later on, we could specify here. And we got that all set up now. This is how you document a class at the beginning. And then let's go inside the class and let's actually create the items. So it says have the variable name at the top of the class. So first we need to declare it. So what we'll do is we'll say name, just like that. That's all you have to do for these types of classes, is just say name. And then what we're going to do now is we'll add a constructor and with the name variable. So what we'll do is we'll say constructor. So this is where it's slightly different with real programming language, a real object-oriented programming language. Usually we would say person instead of constructor, but because this is JavaScript, we'll just say constructor and then name. And then because it constructor, it looks like it's a built-in word already, so it already knows what to do. So when we have a constructor, it basically says just execute this no matter what. So we'll say this dot name is equal to name. That's just how you set it up initially. Now what we want to do is we always have a setter and a getter. So in object-oriented programming in classes, we have these things called setters, which we'll type set name collected. We'll say first name, and then we'll do what we need here. This dot first name is equal first name, and then right after this we could do getters, which are get name collected, and then return. We could just put name, or it says this dot name, doesn't matter really. So that's how you set the setter and the getter. And what we want to do next is so if you're a real object-oriented or Java programmer, this is going to look really funny to you, but for people who don't know how to set up classes, this is just a general idea and a general way of how to set it up. I'll show you a real object-oriented setup process in class for that. But here, what we'll do now is we want to return something. We want to format a name. It even says here, so have a setter called name collected, we set that up. Have a getter called name collected, we got that now. And have a function called formatted name. A function or method, say method like this. So what we'll do now is right here we'll say formatted name. And we want to format the name here, so we're returning this dot name. The first letter is capitalized, so 2 uppercase, plus this dot name dot slice 1. So we're just adding everything after the first letter as lowercase as it always is, and the first letter here is 2 uppercase because it has position 0, which is the first letter of the word. And what we want to do now after this is it says here in this formatted method, and have the first letter of the name be uppercase, okay? Then initialize person1 to value new person. So outside, so you see this class person has that curly brace, and the closing curly brace is right here. What we want to do is after that, we want to initialize the person. So var person1 is equal to new person, and we're going to call this person George. So we'll do lowercase again, semicolon, and essentially let's first write it all out and then I'll explain it. So it says then console log out person1 or person1, and then have the name collected and formatted name. Okay, name collected. So let's do name person1 dot name collected. Okay, and now we'll grab the formatted name as well. So console dot log person1 dot formatted name. And this is a function or method, so we have to do it like this, at least in this language here in JavaScript. So essentially, if we run this, let me open this up now here. Node test.js. So let's see what's here. So name collected, oh, I spelled it wrong. See, spelling really matters, or else you'll just get errors. So name collected, let's do it again. Here we go. So let's take a look at this one by one. So what it's doing here, this variable, is setting up a person. So this new person is, this person here is just being called for this class right here, because the person class is what's helping us format everything. And if we go here, it says the person, the first parameter given to us is George. So when we go back up here, person, so we know that we're going to be getting a name. So we have that started, and in the constructor, we're just saying, okay, run, check this name, okay, everything is good. We have a name set up, perfect, it's given to us, that's great. And then here, the setter is just basically doing the same thing. You can do other stuff in here and in the constructor as well, but I'm not going to get into it. Just remember, this is the type of formatting that is set up at least in JavaScript. And then in the getter is just saying, okay, we'll get this information and just return it. And now this formatted name is saying, okay, what we're going to do is this name, whatever this name is that was passed through, we're going to take that first letter of the word and uppercase it and put it to 2 uppercase. And now what's doing is the slice is taking everything after and including the first position, which is EORGE, and it's just taking the regular lowercasing. Only this first letter of the name is uppercase. So this is what the formatted name does, is just formats the name. But here when we call person1 dot name collected, it's saying look at person1, which is right here. But now inside person1 we have this class. So we can use this naming convention, which is name collected, and it'll just go inside person one. It'll look for the name collected, which is basically right here, name collected. And what it'll do, oh, this is spelt wrong too, collected. So let me run this again here. All good. So it's just going to look for name collected. Even though that was spelled wrong, it still found this getter right here, which is name collected. So it will just say, take this name, whatever this name is, and just return it back. And without any formatting, it's still lowercase George. But here what it's saying is, look in person one, which is the class. This is the class we set up, which is new person. And inside person, it's going to look here in this person class, and it's going to go, okay, where is the formatted name, method, or function? So it'll look in here, and it'll say, okay, here's the formatted name, and this .name is essentially what we'll be doing is we'll take the first letter of the name, uppercase it, and then we'll take whatever's after, and then use that, and it'll return this entire formatted name back to us. So that's why we get George with uppercase letter G. And before we finish off, because we've done the documentation above the class, we also need documentation above the constructor, setter, getter, and the method or function that we created. So all we have to do is the same thing, / the 2 stars, and we just have to say, we can just say constructor, and we'll say the name of the person, and then right here we'll say setter. So we'll just put it as setter. There is a parameter we could just put, so at param star, and then first name, which will be the first name of the person, and then now we can do the getter, which is right here, and we'll say at return, and then the first name of the person, and let's put getter right here as well. So for real Java developers, this will look a little bit funny, but this is essentially how you do it for JavaScript. And here we'll say, let's put it up here, formatting the name of the person, and returns the first letter of the name to capital letter, and the rest to lowercase. The first letter of the name to capital letter, to a capital letter, and the rest to lowercase. That's what it'll return. So it's a formatted name, and that's basically how you document areas within a class as well. It's the same as how we documented things for a function as well. It's just, if you think of it as these functions within a class, because this class person just helps organize everything into one class, because you could have multiple different classes, but I won't get into that right now. But this is essentially what you have to do to set up this. I'll just show you guys right here what it looks like at the top here, and then I'll just scroll down. You guys can pause if you need more time, but here's the setter and the getter, so you can see all of the information, how it's all laid out for JavaScript. And then here is the last part, which is formatting the name method, and just outside of the class of how you set up this new person, and just grabbing the information within the class with specific methods or functions inside of it, so we can grab certain values or format certain values.